Hello, good afternoon everybody. Thank you for joining our session. My name is Hugo Reijkens. I work for the company Collis. Been a couple of years with the company now, working both EMV projects on the payment side and also some of the mobile initiatives we are supporting around the world I've worked on. What I would like to talk to you today is mobile payments. It's a very hot subject, everyone is talking about it. But how are we actually going to implement this? All the nice features, but what steps, as for example use a bank, need to take before you actually have that handset with that payment application in the hands of your consumer? We're doing that for quite some years already, and we have not seen so many live implementations yet. It takes a long time, and luckily we've learned quite a lot during those implementations. I would like to share our view on how we do that. We're going to do that in a couple of steps. We start with the evolution, where we're coming from, to know where we're going through. Then we look at mobile payments itself. What do you actually need? Just an update. What do you need to have these mobile payments? And then the bigger part, implementation guide. How we have experienced that consortiums, banks, MNOs are implementing NFC. Well, I hope this is a pretty clear picture of the evolution of card payments. It started in the 1950s with real payment cards with embossing. Well, as the need for automation grew, they put in a magnetic stripe on the card and it was easier to read it, more secure, the data was a bit hidden. It appeared to be not too secure, the skimmers came, and now we are migrating the world to EMV. Well, Collis is taking a big role in that. We helping many banks implementing these new payment technologies. But in the future, if we look further, we want to have more convenient payments, and for example, we want to have a contactless payment experience. Well, contactless chips are there. We've seen that in the e-ticketing, for example here with the NOL card in Dubai, but also banks issuing these contactless cards. But now, 2012, the big word is NFC. We want to pay with our mobile phone. At least most people here want to pay with their mobile phone. And banks want to offer this to their customers. MNOs want to offer this to their customers. How are we going to do this? As we speak, we do have mobile payments. I do have an application from my bank on my phone. I even have an NFC phone. And I can do already a lot with that. For example, I can check my balance. Sure, no problem. I can do it for years. I can look into my transaction history, bill payments. I can pay bills with my phone. No problem. Also transferring money. If I went out for dinner, I want to share the bill, I can easily transfer money with my phone. What's not possible is retail payments. I cannot use my phone to pay in the shop. If I buy my groceries, I want to pay with that. I cannot use the payment application that we have at the moment in our phones. We're missing some steps, some elements that we will need for that payment. Even though this is an NFC phone, I cannot pay in the store. What are we missing here? Well, in order to reach that goal, to be able to pay with your card in a retail environment, we need to take that payment card to your mobile phone. We need to virtualize that card, so to say. We need to put a payment application on that phone. And that could be indeed a payment application. It could also be, for example, an e-ticketing card, a NOL card or a public transport card, maybe even passport in the future. So we're really looking for a solution to pay in retail environment. A card becomes an application, and with the NFC phone we can now pay. Well, certain ingredients need to be there. It needs to be an antenna here. It is in this phone. There needs to be a secure element there. Just like with EMV, we need a secure vault where we can store the payment details, so that we can ensure our customers that they're having a payment system that cannot be cracked, cannot be hacked, cannot be under attack or whatsoever. 3 options to provide this level of security. We can have a secure element there, and it can be in 3 different places. It can be embedded inside the phone, just like this one has. It can be on your SIM card. You would require a new SIM card for that, but still, there would be a place to secure your details that are now safe in your EMV card. You would save it in your phone in a secure way. Or a third method would be a micro SD card. We need a secure vault inside the phone to store those details. Furthermore, we need a wallet. We need a way to communicate with our application. We'll need a way to manage it and to work, for example, with multiple applications. So 3 ingredients on top of that we need in place before we can have mobile payments. Missing one fourth thing, and I've heard it a lot today actually, the TSM. A way to provision those applications in a secure way to that phone. Because the bank wants to issue all those payment cards. How is he going to make sure that the customer holding his phone with a different MNO, how can he get his payment card in a secure way on that mobile phone? Well, we need a TSM for that. And the demand from the bank will be a secure element. How will he get the data to the secure element? With a TSM. MNO providing handset and secure element, TSM sitting in between, fulfilling that demand. I would like to make a comparison here. For example, as we have now a bank, they work together with a purchase bureau to issue cards. This is the traditional model. We see here lots of purchase bureaus today, a lot of the materials used for that. Card vendors, they're supplying the purchase bureaus with the cards. And in the end, we indeed have a personalized payment card, a product issued by the bank. This business model will actually still stay the same. In the future, you'll still have a bank wants to issue a payment application, a virtual payment product to the mobile phone. How is he going to do that? He's going to use the TSM for that. SP TSM on the bank side, taking care of the, for example, data preparation, and a secure element issuer TSM on the MNO side, who will be issuing the phones with the secure element inside there where the payment application needs to end. And together they will be able to provide these applications in the secure element in the end. Basically the same business model, but different players. Well, Collis has been working with quite some of the consortiums now at the moment, working very hard on implementing these payments. I'll give you an example, ISIS, where we support T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T, building everything, every system, testing all the systems and the handsets, enabling this future channel for payments. But also the consortium in Holland, where we used to have 3 banks and 3 MNOs together building the infrastructure at TSM to enable the infrastructure. And we have some more clients here, for example, Vodafone Group. And a question mark for some of the projects I'm unfortunately not allowed to speak about because of some NDAs, but in all these projects we saw a very similar story all the time. A certain number of steps to go through in order to reach that goal, to get the TSM in place, to get all rules, regulation around it, testing, certification, all these kinds of actions that needed to take place before we could have successful NFC payments implemented. Therefore, we have identified a 4-phased approach, consisting of 4 phases, starting with the first phase, where we have a phase 0, which is basically combining all the parties required in a future ecosystem. That could be a number of banks together with a group of mobile network operators together deciding to reach that same goal. Nice workshops we have there, intense sessions, sometimes up to 2 weeks, together defining all the documents required and business rules, the general ID to launch these payments together. Next step will be the definition of this infrastructure. So we need to define, design and procure all the elements in this new infrastructure to enable this. One phase further, when that is completed, we have got all the components. There's an implementation phase where everything needs to be put together, it needs to be tested, it needs to be certified, and to make everything ready for the rollout. And the last phase, the rollout itself, which is of course a commercial launch, a big go-live moment, but afterwards there's still need for ongoing support, because of course this ecosystem will be able to grow, there will be new handsets, there will be new secure elements, new software releases, Every time you need to make sure that whenever you add something to that environment you have just built, that you control that quality and you make sure that it keeps working, to keep that level of trust high. So if we zoom in, first phase, as I explained, usually a workshop. Very, very intense. We sent some guys together with that group, really go head to head and think about, for example, the high-level technical requirements, the architecture, the whole ecosystem, which players will be there, which services are we going to offer, who takes which role. And in the end, it will end with a nice document explaining the future ecosystem with all the players and the responsibilities and roles that they will take. Going to the next phase, we will define the infrastructure. There needs to be, for example, documents defining the business architecture. There needs to be business requirements with use cases. What are we going to offer our customers? Which services will they be able to use with their mobile phone? Will it just be a card that we're going to provision to them, a payment product? Or will there, for example, be top-up available or a public transport product? All this is part of the definition phase and will be in the definition of the business architecture and high-level processes, describing how it all should work. From the use cases and the processes and the service that we're going to offer, we will define a set of specifications and requirements for that infrastructure. That TSM that needs to be added between a bank and a mobile network operator. That set of documents will exactly define how the TSM should work and operate. And this will later be used in the procurement phase, where you want to be very, very sure what service you want to offer and how your TSM should operate before you approach the vendors, providing you these systems. You want to have a fit-for-purpose system, so you want to have it very clear on your mind how it should operate and in which way. Of course, as we're handling payments here, we just want to be as secure, at least, as possible as with EMV. We want to have that same or higher level of security. And therefore, we need to think about the architecture, how we will handle key management, who will be in charge of which keys. All things related to this level of security to reach that. Once again, it will be a document describing how it should look like. Fourth, marketing, very important aspect. New service to your customers. How are you going to market this? How are you going to launch this? How are you going to brand it? How are you going to communicate it? Very important at this early stage already, based on the service you're going to offer, how are you going to bring that to market? Well, we have a TSM now. That's not it. To virtualize that payment application, of that payment card, we'll need an application. Once again, Mastercards and Visas of the world are specifying what it should look like. And based on our business requirements, we need to specify the requirements for the application that we will have in that phone. Sixth step, TSM procurement. Based on these specification recommendations that we have, we can start with an RFI. Based on that, we'll have a short list, issue an RFP, and from there a vendor can be selected. Once that is in place, of course, there needs to be SLAs, contracts, all these kind of things after the TSM has been selected. Same goes for the wallet, the fourth element we need. Also for that, we need to identify the role, the specs, and the requirements for that piece of software. Furthermore, in this phase, we'll also look at all the partners. We need to have a common understanding and agreement how we work together, who are the stakeholders, who are the participants, and make good agreements about that. Finally, design authority. I think a very important point. We have so many work streams in these kind of projects. How can you make sure that if one work stream, one is making a change or one is deciding something, you need to have one body there controlling all the work streams, having that overview, making sure that if one decision is made in one place, it will not impact in another work stream too much. Once we have defined the whole ecosystem and all elements that we will need to procure, or we have procured, we can finally implement it. And this is happening already with quite some of the projects. Implementing, a lot of work is going on behind the scenes. And it's not just plug and play. It's unfortunately a bit more complicated than that. And it starts, for example, with the application in your phone. We have defined it, but it's not there yet. It still needs to be built. Based on your specs and regs, you can start the building. Then you think about testing and certification to make sure that it will always work, to make sure that customer can trust its ecosystem, this new way of service. We need to think about how we're going to test, and what we're going to test, when we're going to test, and have a strategy behind that. Because we have so many components now. It's just not a payment card anymore. We have many different handsets. We have many different secure elements, wallets, applications, so many variables and so many possible options to test. It is impossible to test everything. That's why you really need to look very well which test you're going to execute to cover at least the level of security you can be sure that it will work. This in the end will result in a test and certification plan where you will write it down, master test plan, in which you will in the end define test cases. You will develop or procure test equipment, build a test environment around it, everything you will need during your implementation phase to make sure everything is working. Well, of course, the testing and the certification itself needs to be executed. And the same goes actually for the application. Just as with the payment cards, you will need to certify that application. After that, finally a pilot. A soft launch to see how it will work in the field, maybe with friends and family. Launch, small launch, trusted group of people that will use your phone and payment application. Once again, design authority is there to track all the decisions that are made for consistency. Well, the big moment is there. Friends and family launch was a success. You can finally go live. However, the work is not done yet. It's a living ecosystem. Phone manufacturers will define new phones. There will be new needs for new applications, new wallets, you name it. To make sure that the quality remains high, everything needs to be tested before it enters the system. You want to have a quality control program in place. And as well as, for example, a mobile test and certification center for every component that will enter that system.